Are you a happy person? Do you want to be more happy? What does it take? How do we get happy, really? That's what we're going to talk about today on this episode of Simply Convivial. I'm your host, Misty Winkler. I write, podcast, and do videos on homemaking, homeschooling, and doing life cheerfully. Most people today believe that happiness comes through pleasure, and he who has the most pleasure is the most happy. But bodily pleasure, even mental pleasure, is not soul satisfying and therefore does not actually bring happiness at all. Happiness is a state of contented flourishing. And flourishing comes when we are fulfilling the purpose that we were created for. So let's talk today about happiness and how to truly notice it and have it. Let's dig in. We tend to think of happiness as a mere feeling, something nice but unnecessary, something transient and superficial. However, happiness has always been a topic of deep interest to philosophers, and there is a long Christian tradition of both identifying what happiness truly is and also noticing how important it is. Aristotle, Augustine, Aquinas, Pascal, C.S. Lewis all agree that what people are searching for when they pursue happiness is virtue, and that all thoughtful people are looking for happiness and can only find it in virtue. The search for happiness is not a sinful search, but a proper one. We were created to live in perfect harmony and happiness with God and man, and we long for what we lost in the fall. Thus, only God truly satisfies the search for happiness, a search that we should all make because it does lead us to God. David Nagel, in his book Reordered Love, Reordered Lives, says that happiness is the condition of a genuine human fulfillment and flourishing, rooted in a relationship with God, whose mercy and grace, demonstrated in Jesus Christ, reorders our loves and lives in righteousness and virtuous ways, so that we are able to enjoy, indeed to relish, all aspects of life and creation appropriately in Him. We were made to flourish, to be happy in God. And as John Piper likes to point out, happiness is part of obedience. Nagel also writes that the Christian faith encourages believing people to discover what it means to be fully and truly human, to live exuberantly and fruitfully as God's creatures, abiding in God's creation that was and is very good. It's not simply that happiness is required of us, but instead a grateful heart delights to obey. Happiness is a fruit of obedience. Nagel, in contrasting Edenic and hedonistic versions of happiness, points out 6 ingredients of God's original blessing of a happy life in Eden before the fall. Before the fall, there was obedience, fulfilling work, companionship, free enjoyment of food, rest and play, and beautiful surroundings. These 6 conditions, these 6 provisions, composed human life before the fall. To the extent that we can develop all 6 in our lives and in our homes, we will find true happiness. One more quote from Augustine on rightly ordering our loves for virtue and thereby for happiness. Augustine said, "But the title happy cannot belong either to him who has not what he loves, whatever it may be, or two, to him who has what he loves, but it is hurtful, or three, to him who does not love what he has, although it is good. Find then a fourth case where the happy life exists, when that which is man's chief good is both loved and possessed. Thus, let us seek our chief good, which is, of course, to glorify God, and find our happiness therein." C.S. Lewis said, "It is a Christian duty, as you know, for everyone to be as happy as he can." Could you use a dose of happiness, of a happier heart, a more cheerful attitude with real everyday life? Let me help you get started with that with my free guide about organizing your attitude, giving yourself an attitude adjustment that notices the blessings that God has given and the path of obedience in our life at home. You can find that by going to simplyconvivial.com/happy. That's simplyconvivial.com/happy, or find a link in the description below and get the free guide. And you'll also end up getting some follow-up emails that will help you take action on the principles set forth in the printable. It will help you to be happy because it will help you to repent, rejoice, repeat.